I'd like you to take a moment and think about the worst mistake you've ever made in your life. Don't worry, you're not going to have to share this with anyone. Just go ahead and think about it for a moment. Got it? Okay. So what if you were punished for that mistake in some way every day for the rest of your life? And what if you didn't know to do anything differently to not make that mistake again? This is the reality for many of our incarcerated sisters with whom I've worked over the past few years. And I want to be really upfront and let you know that prison and jail systems are very complex. And I am not an expert in either. I have found myself in one small slice of that. And now I'm going to show you a few ways that we see ourselves differently as those who are incarcerated. We see them as somehow they're different than us. They are, my family used to say, they're bad seeds. They're different. But let me tell you, my friends, we are not so different from our incarcerated sisters and brothers. Not at all. Not really. 1 in 4 of us in the U.S. has a criminal record. Yet 4 in 4 of us has a criminal history, potential criminal history. Yep, got some laughs there, yeah. Let me tell you why. Civil liberties advocate Harvey Silverglate wrote a book called 3 Felonies a Day that outlines the fact that any single one of us in this room could be convicted of a felony because of how open to interpretation our laws are. Add to that the fact that many people do not have the resources to be able to have good representation. And that makes the difference in many cases who ends up behind bars and who walks free. It's really something to think about. So I began to hear stories with the women that I worked with, and they have touched my heart in ways that I can't even begin to tell you. So I'll share a couple of them with you. I don't want to tell you what to feel. I want you to feel this for yourself. One woman in a halfway house, a prison halfway house, told me that when she was in federal prison, she was so excited that her baby son was going to be brought for a visit. She said, I was excited for days. I hadn't seen him for a really long time. So the big day comes, they bring her baby son in, and she realizes immediately that he's crying because he does not know her. She said that this was the cruelest punishment of all, not just for her, but for her baby. She went on to tell me that her crime had nothing to do with poor parenting. Her child was never in danger. But what it stemmed from was a lack of self-worth, which many, many women have. Many people do for sure, but my area of focus over the past 30 years has been working with women. So she went on to tell me that her self-esteem was so low, she said actually non-existent, that she went along with her husband's illegal activity because she was afraid if she didn't, he would leave her and that no one else would want her. And women's punishment doesn't end when they leave the prison system. Not at all. It really doesn't. The effects of low or no self-esteem get reinforced by many of the things that happen when they are released. One woman with children told me, she said, "Dawn, I have done my time. I have some money saved up. I have a job lined up. I've got the job, I've done my time, I've got money saved up, but I cannot find one landlord who will rent to me because of the felony on my record." So when we think about these felonies, now, in her case, it was a white-collar crime, nonviolent, but that doesn't really matter either. What we're trying to do is to get people to see that we are all the same at our core. We are all the same at our core. So, just to give you an idea about felonies and going back to that idea of who gets convicted and who doesn't, did you know that if you open someone else's mail, or if you illegally download a Taylor Swift song, you could become a felon? Crazy, huh? But it's true. That's how it works. Now, there are more serious felonies, to be certain. Yet, the women that I've worked with are ready for a new start. So, here we have the woman who doesn't get to see her child, he doesn't know her. We have the woman who, she's done her time, she's ready to leave, can't find a place to live. So, here's how I know these women and their stories. And here's why I care so deeply about them. A few years ago, a friend of mine suggested that I take my self-empowerment teachings and the coaching that I do with women into women in prison. And I thought to myself, that really touches my heart to do that. And I really think I could make a difference somehow. But I wasn't sure how that was going to work. I thought to myself, what do I know about prison life or the prison system? Nothing. And then I thought to myself, how in the world is a lipstick-wearing, fancy pants professional life coach going to make my way into the prison system? How is that going to work? But I did it anyway, and it has changed my life. I had so many people say to me, "Oh, Dawn, when you go in, how are you going to talk to the women?" Knowing that I am a professional coach. And I was like, well, what do you mean, how am I going to talk to the women? I'm going to talk to them like I talk to my professional clients. And that's exactly what I do. It's also a policy that we in our organization never ask a woman why she was incarcerated, because we don't want to see them as their mistake. We want to see them. That's what we want. They love that we do that. They all tell us that it means the world to them. So we are making this difference in the ways that we can. And it's just such an amazing time to be alive, because there are so many things we can be doing, and sometimes it can feel overwhelming. It can really feel overwhelming. Like, what do I make a difference in? What do I do? What I say is, pick one thing. Just pick one thing, one group of people that you can make a difference in their lives. I think about the words of the late Paul Wellstone, who said, "We all do better when we all do better." And that's really true. And if you're wondering, what could you do really? What could you do? Here are a few things that I have learned in getting to know these women. whom I've come to love. And that is, if you're a landlord, give a person with a felony a chance. Get to know them. Learn their story before you just say no out of hand looking at that felony on the application. See incarcerated people as people just like us who have made mistakes. You know, when we think about that mistake that we thought of on our own in the beginning, those mistakes that we make, if we simply have awareness and forgiveness and really move forward and have the support that we need, we can totally live a better life. Our program that we do in women's halfway houses is called Best Life. BEST is the acronym for Boundaries, Empowerment, Self-Worth, and Transformation, 4 areas that all women really, truly benefit from. And the Venerable Women Foundation that I started in 2018 was something very unexpected. I had no idea I was going to do that. I really did not know what I was doing, but I saw the need and knew I needed help in order to be able to do it. So what does venerable mean? It's kind of a fancy word, right? Venerable. Venerable means worthy of honor, love, and respect by virtue of wisdom and experience. All people are venerable at their core. It's just up to each of us to awaken that within ourselves and to see that in one another. That's how we change the world, is by seeing our own venerability and bringing it forward in the world. Another thing that we can do is pay attention to prison reform. You know, we hear so much about that these days, but let's really pay attention to that. Because the people I have worked with, the women I have worked with, they just want to have a better life. And sometimes they just need the tools and support to do that. And so that is something that we definitely can do. In the words of the Hopi elder, we are the ones we've been waiting for. Let us dare to dream that our worst mistake can set us on a path to living our best life. And then let's go beyond dreaming and dare to walk the path together. Thank you.